Hello, Flat Earth researchers, debaters and debunkers. Well, there's an awful lot of mudslinging going on, isn't there? Finger-pointing, accusations, and people worried that they're getting misled by some psyop. It's never ending, but it's ridiculous. Look at you all. Look at you all pointing your fingers and just doing exactly what we're trying to get away from, and that's relying on others to give you the information. Every one of us has become a flat earther by using our own discernment, but of course someone had to point it out in the first place, and whoever that might have been, well, okay, great. They got you on the path, and then off you went to go and find out your own thing. You can't be kind of like hanging around waiting for those people to give you the rest of the answers. The rest is up to you, and there's no point in kind of getting angry at people because they're not providing you with the information that you want. The whole point is to go and start looking for yourself. And if you're sitting around saying this guy's a chill, or this guy's, you know, doing a psyop or whatever, well, leave them alone, ignore them, you know. You take the information you want from whoever it is that you feel is suitable, and then you go on your own little path, yeah? All the time you're spending accusing others of not providing or giving you the wrong answers. You know, I mean, a year ago, you know, most of us hadn't thought about flat Earth at all, you know, so 12 months later, here we are all bitching amongst ourselves about who's right or who's wrong. Well, of course no one's right or wrong. We're just, you know, this is a 2,000-year-old conspiracy at the least, all right? Especially with, you know, some of the information you can put together, which people like, you know, some people are putting some really good information together now about the North Pole, you know, how the maps have just kind of changed, you know? But at the end of the day, just remember that this guy, Eratosthenes, however you say it, I don't care if I've said it wrong, you know, here's a guy who was a mathematician who liked his circles. He liked doing things with circles. That was his little thing. So he goes and measures the shadows in a well in Alexandria and then a pole somewhere else, you know, a certain number of stardust away, and all he does is say, oh, well, given this angle and that angle, that can make a circle. I like circles. That's a portion of a circle. So I shall make a circle and it shall be this size and that will fit. That's it. There have been no other modern day measurements of the circumference of the Earth. Nothing. And when they do it, what they do is just they do the same thing. They stick posts in the ground and measure the shadows, but, you know, measure them a little bit more accurately. They're even talking now, there's some news in the space news, that after about 10 years of fierce debate, they're now kind of settling for this astronomical unit of measurement, which is more kind of rounded and general and easier for amateur astronomers to work with. You know, the whole thing, everything about the heliocentric model is based on this one single assumption that the distance between a city and another city was part of a curve on a ball, on a circle. That is it. Yeah? Gravity, which is based on mass, is based on the assumed size of the Earth and its relative mass. And the same goes for the sun and the moon. It's all been guesswork and conjecture off this one reportedly measurement by Eratosthenes. And again, all he did was to measure the distance between two cities and then measure the angles of the sun. Now, we all know, even if you're a hardened globehead, you know that you can do exactly the same thing on a flat plane, and you can observe different angles to the sun on a flat plane, and you can also have that happen with a low hanging sun. Yeah, you can get the same angles. The sun, if the sun is just a few hundred kilometers up above a city and it's directing down, the sunlight is down and there's no shadow there at midday, well, you go to another city a few hundred miles away, and of course the shadows will be different, even on a flat plane with a low hanging sun. The only difference is you have to assume one or the other, or at least consider one or the other and put them up for debate. So that's it. Gravity, all that, everything is based on this idea that the circumference of the Earth is a certain size. And do you know how they actually, and the common phrase you'll always hear with these scientists and stuff, well, he was, surprisingly accurate, really not far off. Have they gone out and measured this with satellites or ships or aircraft or whatever to confirm this? No. All they've done is make some mathematical models to take into account the spin of the Earth, so therefore giving us this oblate spheroid bulge, all just calculated in mathematical models, because there's a certain amount of water and a certain amount of spin which would create this much force, It's all only mathematical models based on that one simple assumption that the distance between two cities was part of a curve on a circle. Yeah, incredible, isn't it? Incredible to believe that the whole of science has been based on this ridiculous assumption. The mathematician isn't going to care about the physical reality of it. He's not going to think about, oh, well, hang on, we've got people stuck to an upside down Earth here. Doesn't matter. To the mathematician, it's beautiful, and he wants to keep it that way. Heaven forbid we introduce some chaos, some irregularity. So you can spout all the math you want, and of course it's correct because you started with a circle of a certain size and all your other numbers are going to fit into there, aren't they? But the passing of Venus, all these astronomical measurements, they're all done on the assumption that the Earth was a certain circumference, because you just look, and I looked and looked for modern experiments, and they're all the same. Even the most modern measurements of the so-called circumference of the Earth is just a repetition of this ridiculous experiment. So what are we guilty of? All of us, whoever you are, whether you're a flat earther or not, we're all guilty of going along with assumptions without doing our own research, yeah? So when we start bickering amongst ourselves, well, why are we playing the blame game? Why are we doing that? Why should we blame anyone but ourselves for our lack of understanding about how things work? Yeah? And that's just the kind of mentality that we're trying to get away from. Yeah? So, ultimately, I just know that Flat Earth brings about peace. And it brings about peace because it brings about the concept of free energy. How and why is that? Well, of course, we're in a world that is ruled by magnetism or electromagnetism. The energy is everywhere. Whatever you want to call it, that makes us stick to the Earth, or whatever makes water molecules stick together, or, there's just energy all around. But it's not... Think about it. Just imagine, if you're a globehead listening to this, just imagine that all the matter in the universe is one infinite plane. Yeah, do you really think that if you were standing on that infinite plane, you would weigh any more or less than you do now? Yeah? Can't you see what's happened with the whole, all they've done, all that's happened with weight? Yeah? Let's say you weigh 80 kilograms, right? All that happens with all the equations that dictate or predict gravity, which is again has never been measured, all mathematical models, it's just based on they moved the decimal point. Yeah? Okay, let's say you weigh 1 kilogram, something weighs 1 kilogram. They move the decimal point and say, well, actually, that's 10 newtons of force, or 1 kilogram of force. This is where the mistake goes. This is the mistake is thinking that there's a force pulling us down to the ground. Just like a force. You stand behind a bicycle and a truck. Someone on a bicycle and a truck, and you push someone along on their bicycle, and you use the same amount of force to push that truck along. Well, what's going to happen? You're going to have no problem pushing the bicycle. You're going to have a little bit of difficulty pushing a truck. Yeah, but you're using the same amount of force. Okay? But when it comes to up and down, it's different, isn't it? Once something hits the ground, there is no force behind it anymore. If you throw something, then of course you've added some force, and if you hit someone on the head with a kilogram weight that you've thrown, then that's a kilogram with some force added to it. But if you just put that kilogram weight on their head, it's not going to do any damage at all, is it? Yeah? And it's the same, when a kilogram is on the ground, it's just at rest. It just weighs 1 kilogram. But we are told that it's actually, there's a force of, it's exerting a force of 9.98 newtons. Yeah, just move the decimal point. That's what bankers do. That's what Newton was. He was in charge of the Royal Mint, one of the best bankers in the world. Yeah? So he was good at clipping, shaving off percentages here and there. So you couldn't really tell the difference. That was what he did. And that's what they did with gravity. They just make us all assume, because the Earth is a ball spinning through space, and there must be something that makes us stick to a ball that's spinning 1,000 miles an hour. Think about it, it's so ridiculous. And it's all based on one assumption by a Greek 2,000 years ago.